All right, so huge update in the death of One Direction star Liam Payne. Police down in Argentina are now saying that this was an intentional fall, that this is an apparent suicide. The police have come out with an investigation. They told the Associated Press that Liam had, quote unquote, jumped from the balcony of his room. So I know that they had been doing a bunch of investigation to figure out what exactly happened. There were photos from inside of Liam's room that have now come to light showing a smashed television. It showed a very chaotic scene inside this hotel room with, it looks like, white powder and tinfoil and burnt areas on a table. And so it seems like something was definitely happening inside this room.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw Podcast, Raw Rundown. I look like I'm from the Orange County, but I'm from the Northeast. Dax is over there on the West Coast. And
hello.
He looks like he's from the Northeast. We're playing the opposite roles. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm good. Dax Holt, longtime entertainment news journalist, nominated 3 times for an Emmy?
Twice, but I'll take 3 if you want to give it to me.
Okay, you got the 2 papers nominated for an Emmy.
I've got 2 papers that say, "You're a loser, bitch. You don't got no trophy to put on your mantle."
I got 1. I have 1. And what did you do with it when you get your Emmy nomination? Because you get like this, it's like a certification, the way you get it. Did you put it in a frame or what did you do with it?
Yeah. So what it looks like, so it's like this thick cardstock, right? And it has, you've been nominated or in recognition of your nomination, blah, 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 what it's for. But then it has this like shiny gold emblem of the Emmy statue on the top. So it's like reflective. So I actually got a gold frame that's also shiny and reflective to put around it. It looks really cool together. So I have those in my office at work, and they are up on the wall.
Yeah, I put mine in a frame, which framing is expensive. Mm-hmm. I think it might cost me like $300 just to frame it. I forget.
Are you serious?
What is that?
Dude, I went to like Michael's and bought a $10 frame.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. No, I got a good one because you had to get the air sucked out of it so the paper doesn't get ruined.
What?
Yeah, dude, you don't understand. When you put something like that in a regular frame, there's still air in it. So eventually it's going to start to like ruin. It's starting to deteriorate the paper.
No. Are you serious?
Dax, I'm not making this up. This is what they told me, at least at Michael's, because I got it at Michael's.
Yeah, they told you. They were like, this sucker is paying $300 for this airless frame? Like, come on.
I have like a bunch of big 11 by 14 autographs, which I say once I have the room or the space or the money to frame them, I love to frame those around my, like, if I ever have like a good office, which I would love to have. I would love to have an office. But I'd love to have those around my office because it would be really good conversation pieces. But again, the same thing for that is you want to have an air sucked, which I was told, an air sucked frame, so the autograph wouldn't get ruined. Just like when you get an autograph and like this,
I'm thinking that what would do more damage is like sunlight. So like if
sunlight
it's UV protected frame, mine they don't get any sunlight on them, but
I could be wrong.
At the end of the day, like, you know, what my kids, it's probably gonna be one of those things that they're like, they throw out, you know, when they're cleaning out my house after I'm gone. They're gonna be like, what is this crap?
Yeah,
trash.
They go to their kids. It's like, hey, does anybody want Grandpa Dax's Emmy nom? No, I'm good. Yeah,
they're like, where's the statue? Too. He didn't get one. Nope, loser.
Yeah, exactly. All right. This is our Raw Rundown where we give you the top 10 stories of the week. Goes by data, goes by Google search, and lastly goes by our personal opinions. This week, a unique week, a sad week, a wild week, a surprising week, which we'll get into all of that. But in the middle of the week, Dax and I sometimes talk to a celebrity. Sometimes we talk to a media person in Hollywood. Sometimes we gossip with each other. This past week, we gossiped with each other about some of the entertainment news stories, about some of the news stories going on this week. Which, by the way, if people, I'll tell you what, we have this private Facebook group called Off the Record,
which I love. It is so great. Like I feel like they're our true friends, even though I haven't met 99% of those people. I feel like they get us.
They do. And there's one, like, I've actually like become like kind of I'm like friendly with some of these people now, like social media friends, and like even at like BravoCon, I met up with some of these people, and then like there's always some people that you can sort of like, you know what they're gonna do, and like there's one, and I'm going to try and bring it up right now. I forgot her name, but and I apologize for her name. I could always count on her to post a celebrity's death.
Oh yes, I know. I know.
She's always
exactly
listening.
who you're talking about. We should give her a shout out. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it. I think
I'm trying to figure out what my computer's freezing right now to bring her up, but she's
it's
very
Lauren.
good at it.
It is Lauren.
Lauren, thank you.
Yeah.
What's I don't want to say her last
Lauren
name.
and I'm gonna butcher her last name. Lauren, I apologize in advance, but you have 75 letters in your last name, so Spiridigolazolzi. I don't know how to say her last name. I am so sorry, Lauren, but I appreciate your constant updates on breaking news stories.
Yeah, she's always up to date. Like, always let us know who died in Hollywood, and so you could always rely on Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for that. And I appreciate her just overall interacting with our Facebook group. It's really a fun community. I suggest you join a private Facebook group called Off the Record. Sometimes we break stories in there. Sometimes we just kind of gossip with each other. Actually, Dax broke a big story this week on there.
I was going to say, there was a story in there this week. It was a little sprinkling to see when people would see it, but Pete Davidson dating a new girl.
Don't even get into it.
Oh, okay, that's it. I'll leave it at that, though. It was just for our Facebook group.
Yes. But I mentioned on this week's podcast that I played golf with a celebrity this week. And these guys, I'm telling you, we didn't really put out that many. I'm not a blind item guy. I actually didn't want to discuss who the exact person I played with because I'm supposed to play with them again this weekend. And I didn't want to put it out there just because I didn't want to be tacky like that for something like this. And especially because this person's more of an actor rather than they're a celebrity, but they're more of an actor. They don't play like the Hollywood game that we love, the high school of it. But you guys were right on it. It's crazy. I'm like, how the fuck did these people get it? But shout out to them. Before we get to the Raw Rundown, we read reviews. We read them all the time. We read them before we go to sleep. We read them before we wake up. The reason why we read them, it really helps us out. And the algorithm, it supports the podcast. Dax is a better reader than I am. That's why I allow him to read the reviews. Dax, do you have a review ready for us?
That's not saying much considering I butcher half of these ones. All right. 5 stars. And this is from What You Looking At? That's with 4 H's. It says, love from Utah. Hello, I'm a listener of your podcast for over a year now, and I love every episode. Nothing quite out there like you guys. Thank you for taking the time to do what you do. XOXO, Julia. Well, XOXO, back to you, Julia. We appreciate you listening, tuning in every week, being a listener for the last year, and taking the time to leave us a review. It means the world.
Yeah, What You Looking at, Julia from Utah. Thank you for that. And again, if you want to leave a review, we'll give you a shout out on the air. All you got to do is go to, we take them from the Apple Podcasts app. Go on the podcast app on Apple, put in Hollywood Raw, go all the way to the bottom, and you can put 5 stars and say a few kind words. If you say those few kind words, we'll read your review live on air. It's a way to give us a shout out.
Can I read one from Facebook from this week? We don't normally read the Facebook ones, but there was a really nice one in Facebook. I want to give that person a shout out. Sure. This is from Jeanette Allen. She posted, my first time watching it, I'd like to state I was not disappointed. We'll watch this podcast again. Really enjoyed some decent commentary with all the background noise of salacious stuff, and gave us a heart. And I liked it. So anyway, that was a nice comment that I saw on Facebook, or on YouTube, which can be a brutal place sometimes.
It can. All right, let's get to our Raw Rundown, starting with number 7. No, kidding. Number 10. So I was a stupid
Wouldn't that be great, though? Like, if we really did just start with like a random number, just skipped all around, just fucked with people's brains.
Yeah. All right. Raw Rundown, so number 10.
Number 10, Kim Kardashian getting into the acting. Well, she's been an actress a couple times. She did American Horror Story, but she, it seems like, is really leaning into this whole acting side, which is kind of surprising because she didn't really come across as much of an actress to me. And it seems like it has now become a passion, but she is doing a new show with Ryan Murphy, who seems to really like Kim Kardashian and giving her opportunities. She is now going to be a star in this new attorney show. It's called All's Fair. She is in this show with Naomi Watts. So they're filming a scene the other day. It's a legal drama for Hulu, but I'm thinking, you're co-starring along with Naomi Watts. That's a pretty big deal for Kim Kardashian. You know, like Naomi Watts is not a little actress unknown. She's a huge actress. And there's scenes of them filming where I guess it's an all-female law firm, and she plays a divorce lawyer, which makes sense because she is deep into law. She did not pass her bar yet, but she studied to be a lawyer in real life, and now she is at least doing it in Hollywood, which is, I don't know. I guess I'm just shocked by Kim Kardashian's trajectory through Hollywood and how every time she seems to reinvent herself and impress people along the way. Like, she's done modeling, she's done acting, she's done clothing. I mean, she just kind of dips her hand into everything and somehow comes out on top every time.
She picks good people. I mean, Ryan Murphy, I tell you what, Ryan Murphy is the first time in a producer. You know, there's when Leo does a movie, I always watch a Leo movie. It's just, there's Tom Hanks, similar. There's chances they get the good roles, they pick good projects you work on. Ryan Murphy's
he hits it out of the park every time.
Every single show he does. I mean, the Menendez brothers right now, American Horror Story. It's just so good, the projects he picks. So I bet on Ryan Murphy, and Ryan Murphy's putting her in roles. It's great. I'll say this, Kim Kardashian. What do you say?
No, I was going to say, did you start watching Monsters?
I did not start watching Monsters because I just finished last night the Menendez brothers, which I thought was great.
But that's the Menendez brothers. It is.
Monsters. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know that was. I just saw it, the Monsters, the Menendez brothers, something like that. I know the show more as the Menendez brothers. I watched it. I finished it. I thought it was fantastic.
You got through all 9 episodes already?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought the acting was great. I didn't know who these actors were before. Now I think they're stars. He made them into stars. Kim Kardashian, as far as an actress goes, to be honest with you, I haven't seen her act enough. However, when Kim was on Saturday Night Live, I thought she was fantastic. I thought she was great. She was fun. I mean, listen, is she Gwyneth Paltrow? Is she Meryl Streep? No. But for what it is, I would say she actually is a good actress. And I would say she's better than some of the other actresses that you see on TV regularly. So, and
do you think there's people out there that just hate the fact that we love on Kim Kardashian? Because people love to hate her so much that when you hear us talking about her and giving her praise, I bet there's just people like, God, I hate it. I don't know. You want to hate her, but she's so good at so many things, and she's so savvy that it's hard to not like her.
I'm a sucker, Dax, for people for how they treat me. Now, for example, you could say something about, I don't know, JD Vance running for vice president right now, right? And I listen, I'm not a political guy. I don't care what side you pick. I will say this: when I met him, he was super nice to me, and that's all I can say. Like, he was really nice to me. Kim has always been super nice to me. The way she handles herself in public, I've been around it. I've seen it firsthand. She treats people so nice. She's very good to the fans. I appreciate that, and it goes a long way. Therefore, am I going to go out and support her? I'm not going to go out there and give her every single dollar I have, but she's working with Ryan Murphy. His batting average is amazing. Congrats to both. I think Ryan Murphy sees the value in Kim, knows that she'll also deliver. She probably works hard for the role. She's not an egomaniac on set. She works at it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. All right, Dex, number 9.
Number 9. Well, we've all been talking about the fact that the Joker 2 was a horrible, I can't talk right now. I was going to say abysmal in the box office. Well, Terrifier 3 is what really took over the box office in Joker's place. It is a very low budget horror, and it just was crushing it. And I think people were looking for that scary movie in October, and Terrifier 3 became that movie. And now one of the stars of it, David Howard Thornton, has broken his silence on really becoming that big movie and overtaking a major box office movie like The Joker that is backed by Warner Brothers, that they put over $200 million in it to make it, and then an additional like $200 million just to promote it, and where his was made for $2 million, and it has now raked in tons and tons of cash. And he's just saying he was shocked by it. Basically, he likened this to 2 films like David and Goliath. He had no idea that this would be the outcome. You got to imagine when you've got this low budget film and it goes into box office weekend, and you're like, I mean, hopefully we can get some scraps left over by Joker 2. I mean, that's what you're really going to. The first one raked in $1 billion. So everyone thought for sure Joker 2 would be this huge one. They've got a great fan base going in, and it's flopped. Well, he says, I never expected this to happen in my life. I'm floored and grateful for all of it. We're grateful for the fans. We have dedicated fan base, and we aren't beholden to the studio system, which is a big deal. He said, we turned down studios as they wanted to compromise the integrity of the film, and we wanted to stick to what fans wanted and we wanted. This shows Hollywood that we need to start making movies again and take risks again. He said, I was shocked to see the first Joker film I loved, and I'm curious to see why people aren't as crazy about the second one. Because it's a musical. That's why. And then, this movie, Terrifier 3, has gotten a 78% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And, the film earned $18.3 million at the box office already, and it just is going to continue to rise. So big deal for them.
Yeah, I think this movie is going to be very, very interesting study in Hollywood, because obviously they put a lot of money into this movie. The movie didn't turn out the way they wanted to, as far as the profits weren't there. They didn't make the money they wanted to make. At the end of the day, it's show business. Of course, they want to make a good movie, but they also want to make money on it. They're in this business to make money and profit. So I think this is going to affect future movies, especially artistic projects, and how much money they put into it. And are people willing to do that, especially in that comic book audience? Like, if you're going to go that direction, people want a full comic book. They don't want any artsy spin on it. Now, I give Todd Phillips a lot of credit for trying something and being risky. I give the studio a lot of credit for trying something risky. It didn't work out the way they wanted to. Yeah, but it sounded
like there was a lot of drama between the studio and Todd Phillips and what direction they were going to go. It sounds like it wasn't the most ideal situation between all of them. So I also wonder, was there too many butting heads and people who wanted the power there? And unfortunately, that actually came to its demise.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like this, for the Hollywood, we're never going to see this, but it's going to be an interesting case study for future films, from marketing to actually the movie production, to, are we willing to put big budgets to high risk movies?
Well, it also goes to, you don't always have to have a sequel. Like, sometimes let the movie rest where it is, because there's a reason it was so good. Like, I think about that with Barbie. Barbie was a weird movie for me, but it did really well. Do you think that they can actually do a number 2 on that and it be successful as the first one? I don't know.
Is it worth putting that much money into the sequel too? Yeah. When you already know you have that audience, it's like, maybe they don't need that. So I don't know. I think this can be an interesting case study for Hollywood. I think they're really going to dig into this to see, from the marketing to the actual movie making to the budget, was it really worth it? I actually like Todd Phillips. Met him when I was at the Stern Show. Nice guy. I'm a fan of him. I'm sad it didn't go the way it wanted to, but I also appreciate him trying to take a risk. By the way, speaking of Todd Phillips and musicals, I actually sense, they do these things now. They do with Lord of the Rings. They've done it with Star Wars. I really want to see what Indiana Jones, and now they're doing with La La Land, where they go to a theater. They're actually doing it at Carnegie Hall in New York City, and they play the movie with a live orchestra.
Oh, I've seen that before.
And I'm so upset. Like the Carnegie Hall one, they're doing La La Land, which I loved La La Land. I don't care what people say. I thought the movie's fantastic. But like, the only time they're showing is like 2 p.m. I'm like, can it be like 8 p.m.? I'd actually go do it and try it. But I don't know. I'd love to see Indiana Jones, and I'd love to see La La Land. I don't know if I'd be a Star Wars, maybe Lord of the Rings I'd go see, but I don't know if I definitely wouldn't see the Joker as a musical if they ever did that. All right, Dax, number 8.
Number 8, Clint Eastwood's daughter, Francesca Eastwood, was arrested for domestic violence. So she was taken into custody in Beverly Hills at the police department after they responded to a call regarding a possible domestic violence incident that happened earlier this week. And the identity of the alleged victim has not yet been revealed, at least as of the taping of our podcast. Officers conducted an investigation based on statements and injuries. Francesca Eastwood was arrested for a felony. She was booked for domestic violence, and now I know that there's been a lot of people reaching out to try to get some kind of I guess, some kind of comment from reps from her or her dad, but has not heard back. But this is not her first arrest. If you remember, she was arrested, I want to say it was like back in 2015, charged for DUI. She pled no contest and the case was subsequently dismissed. But, you know, she really seems to keep her name in the headlines over the years. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Do you remember they did that show on E back in the day? This was back in 2012. They did a show called Eastwood and Company. It was a reality show that chronicled, it was based on Dina Eastwood, who was the wife, then wife of Clint Eastwood, and their daughters, Francesca and Morgan. That was a good show. Now, granted, only ran one season because there's no way Clint was going to let that show go more than one season. But that was a fun show, but it showed like these girls were unique and interesting. She got arrested, made some news. I mean, it sucks for a guy like Clint where he's like, oh, like they something like this almost shouldn't be in the news. But because of the relation, it's in the news, right?
Well,
Isn't that?
He's such a big actor. He's such a famous name.
Sure.
And then because they have had their bits of spotlight, it makes it newsworthy. I mean, she's got her famous brother, Scott Eastwood, who has also kind of made a name in Hollywood for himself. But, I mean, there's, he's got 8 kids, right? He's got 8 kids, something like that. So I don't know all of them. I know that obviously Morgan, Scott, and her, but...
all these guys, Pacino, Eastwood, Rod Stewart, all these old guys, like they have so many kids, but you can't, I mean, listen, when you can afford it, like who, you know.
Right. Well, that's interesting you say that because we're going to get into Al Pacino's story where it doesn't sound like he can completely afford it. All right.
Yeah. All right. Number 7.
Heidi Klum and her daughter Leni are just getting slammed online for doing a new a new advertisement while they're both in lingerie, and everyone's saying this is really weird. So they're facing major backlash for posing together. The two models wore various sets of underwear while smiling and laughing and doing photos promoting this intimissimi, as maybe how you say it, fall winter collection. And they posted about it on Instagram on Monday. Heidi is obviously 51. Leni is 20. They filmed a bunch of videos. And again, they're in their underwear. And that is really what's freaking people out. Like if they were in modeling clothing, maybe they wouldn't be getting such a backlash. But people just felt it was weird. It was incestuous. It was like they didn't understand. And when it comes to Heidi, she's like, look, this is really fun to be able to work on a campaign with my daughter. I've never had so much fun in my entire life because this is cool to work with your child. Did you have any instant reaction? I guess I didn't find it as weird as everyone else did. It was like, oh, they're two models. Like I didn't think too much of it until people started talking about it. And then I was like, oh, I guess it could be a little weird, but I guess I didn't have that initial reaction that was so weird like everyone else did.
They're both great looking women. They know what they're doing. They know what they're getting themselves into. They know people were going to talk. When you put two, mom and daughters next to each other that look great, and they're sort of very close and almost boob on boob, you know that people are
almost boob on boob.
It was almost boob on boob. You know people are going to. As soon as I saw that, I sent it to you, Dex. I was like, okay, they know what they're doing here. Like this is good PR. It's good news for them. They look great. Obviously Heidi.
Yeah, but you know where my head went? My head went like,
is this weird?
No, my head didn't go to this is weird. My head went to like, oh yeah, they're showing this like nepotism in Hollywood and like the beautiful mom with the beautiful daughter. They're going to get a lot of publicity because like, look, she like spawned a hot daughter. That's what I thought the narrative was going to go. I guess I didn't see the creep factor right away.
Yeah, I get why people see it creepy, but the other part of it, I always say, goes back to show business, and they know what's going to get people talking and launch her daughter's career. About a year ago, I saw a photo before her daughter became a star. I saw a photo of her photo.
The yacht photo, huh?
The yacht photo. And I was like, who? And I was like, wow, that's Heidi's daughter. I sent it to a celebrity. I was like, man, look at this girl. And everyone's like, you always say celebrity. You don't say names. This time I'll say the name. It's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And
you're such an idiot.
But it's
what a random ass name.
I did send it to a celebrity. I knew you'd get that. I did send to a celebrity, and they're like, yeah, this girl. And I said to them, this girl's now going to become a star because she looked amazing. She was very buxom. She had a great body. She had a body similar to her mother's. And I was like, oh yeah, this she's done. Say goodbye. She's now going to catapult into her career. And sure enough, then all of a sudden we start to see more and more photos of her. And it just kind of launched her career once we saw the daughter's body on this boat in a bathing suit. With that said, back to this, is it creepy? It would be creepy if they weren't doing a photo shoot. But yet again, it's business. They're models. This is what they do. If they're just two people walking around in lingerie, I'd be like, yeah, it's a little unique.
You know what I thought of that's not in our rundown, but you brought up models. Any clue how the Victoria's Secret fashion show did? I mean, I saw a lot of photos. I saw Tyra Banks out there. I saw Adriana Lima and like I saw Kate Moss. Everyone walked the runway. Any clue how the airing did? Because they've been off the air for 5 years. There was a lot of like back and forth whether or not they were going to keep the show going. And, you know, any clue if it did well for them?
Here's what I'll say is this. I don't know how the ratings did. I haven't looked at the ratings. As far as like, I'm in New York City, as far as the excitement of it in New York City, nobody cared.
Really?
They did the show at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is like a tough place for fans and to kind of, it's a space-wise, it's good, but doesn't really give a lot of attention. People don't get excited for it. Afterwards, they did an after party, and then they did an after party. There was just no buzz or excitement around it. And, you know, again, it's almost like an honor of the older models. Like we're honoring models now. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was very mediocre. Was it a success? Probably good for the brand. I hope, but
I think it was. So I'm Googling it as we speak. But it looks like it may have actually. Nope, never mind. I'm reading 2001 broadcast, 12 million viewers. So I don't know. I don't actually know if it did well or not.
Ratings on these days is also stupid. No one really cares anymore because it's hard
to get ratings. People watch on so many different platforms, and
TV ratings are like almost inaccurate these days because people have a show on as background TV. They can fall asleep to Seth Meyers and it's just running. It's like, who's actually watching this stuff? And the numbers aren't as high as they once did. All right, let's move along. Dax, number 6.
Number 6, you remember we brought up a story a couple weeks back where American Idol's, former American Idol star Paula Abdul had filed a lawsuit against a former American Idol producer, Nigel Lythgoe, claiming sexual assault, and he had fired back and said that this was not true. Well, he claims that she lied in this lawsuit against him, and he is fighting to clear his name. He claimed that Paula lied in her lawsuit, accusing him of sexual assault, and that the legal team has showcased the nature of their friendship in court documents filed Tuesday. So Nigel, they're saying that Lythgoe did not harass, bully, or sexually abuse Abdul, is what this lawsuit read. And they're saying, well, how do we know? Well, in her own words, I guess her private emails and text messages and public statements on social media have now been entered into the chat. And it was time and time again during these and after these, the time that she alleges the abuse occurred, where Abdul expressed how she really felt about Lythgoe, her friend, her colleague, both during the periods of time when the two worked together and during periods of time when they didn't. And so I guess they've got a bunch of text messages and stuff where she is praising him, and it does not seem that there was anything nefarious, according to their lawyers, going on, and this is proof of it. One note read, "Hi, Nigel. Thank you for the beautiful flowers. They were exquisite, but I have to say the kicker was the birthday card last night. I'm still howling. I always wanted to let you know how happy I was to have you and Andrea join me on my special day. I know you had previous commitments and was very touched that you were able to move things around to celebrate with me. I truly appreciate our friendship and looking forward to launching our project." So they're saying, hey, look, if this was in the middle of this alleged sexual abuse, why would she be sending him these types of texts? Again, she has also claimed that there was a power dynamic there that needs to be assessed, where he was the boss and she was placating to him. So keep that in mind. But this lawsuit is still very much moving forward. she had claimed that Lythgoe shoved her against the wall, grabbed her genitals and breasts, and began shoving his tongue down her throat in one of the court documents. And so that is where they're at. I don't see this going away anytime soon, but, we'll watch it unfold.
Heavy allegations by Paula Abdul. Has Nigel, and again, Dex, and might correct me if I just want to understand the story and just kind of understand a little bit more.
Yep.
Is he admitting that he did any of that, or he's saying none of that ever happened?
None of that happened. He goes,
wow.
He goes, we've always had a good friendship. And then one day I go online and she's accused me of all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know where it came from. And I don't know why she's saying it. And again, this is what he's saying. He is claiming it's not true and that she didn't do it, or he didn't do it. And he feels like he's shocked by it. She is claiming a very different story.
That's so polar opposite of what happened. What he said, she said. I don't know how you fix that. How this thing gets settled.
That's why it goes to court, and then you start to dive into it.
Well, we'll see how this story ends. Dax, number 5.
Number 5, shocking story, but Artem, from Dancing with the Stars, is apparently wanting to reconcile with Nikki Garcia, aka Nikki Bella, after accusing her of being the real abuser. So this was obviously a huge story that we talked about for the last couple of weeks. Him getting arrested for domestic violence, and then her filing for divorce, and now they've both filed for protective, like a restraining order against each other. Well, it seems like he is telling people that he would love to put this whole nasty thing behind them and get back together, even though they're kind of having a contentious divorce right now. This is according to Us Weekly, by the way. I don't think it's going to happen. Apparently, people close to her say she wants to move forward with her life. She does not want to. And this comes on the heels of him also like sharing alleged incident or injuries that she caused him during that whole incident. His side of the story was that she attacked him. And that was how it got all spun out of control, even though he was arrested that night. I will tell you that the DA up there did not file charges against him. They said that they did not have the evidence to really file charges. So it makes me wonder if there's a lot more to this story than how it initially broke, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the chances of I can't imagine someone like Nikki Bella going back to him after it was so publicized of what happened.
Well, also, it just sounds like clearly it's not a healthy situation. If either one of you is claiming like this much abuse on each other, you're not in a good situation. And your kid is not in a good situation if your parents are getting so physical in front of you. Like, I don't think that they should be together. I can understand them wanting to, like he wants to get back together with her, but it seems like they should stay far away from each other.
Yeah. All right, Dax, what number are we on? 5?
We are on number 4, right? Yeah, number 4.
Moving right along. Number 4.
Number 4, Nick Jonas had a scary situation go on. He was over in the Czech Republic in Prague, and he had a red dot show up on his forehead, freaked out, and ran off stage. So he's got him and his brothers are out there, Prague stop of their Jonas Brothers World Tour. And there's a fan video where you see Nick kind of sitting there on the side, seemingly calm. I don't know what point during the show this was, or if it was right before or whatever, but there's a red light, looks like a laser pointer, that goes onto his face, and he jumps up and sprints off stage, run down the stairs and off. And everyone's like, well, what the hell just happened? And it actually ended up pausing down the entire concert for a couple minutes. It seems like it was an illegal laser pen that was brought into the concert. But what I don't know is, did he think that it was like a laser light, like someone was going to shoot him? I don't know what it was.
I think that's the alarming thing. He thought it was a laser sniper. He's not in America. So I have to imagine he thought it was some sort of sniper that was at him. I mean, if you saw the video, it was pretty scary. And, props to his security guy. And I guess they had this thing where he put up a sign. If you watch the video, he makes like an X with his hand saying like something's going on. And the security guy's right on top of that. And they had like real quick, hey, something goes on. he puts up the X. The security guy went right to his shirt and walkie-talkie someone, and they ran off together off stage. A very scary moment, but I guess that's the times now, and it sucks that this is the world today. But yeah.
But he's all right. The concert went on.
I can't blame him.
They realized
situation.
It was a laser pen and not a gun. But yeah, you don't know. People are crazy these days, so I get it.
Yeah, remember just a laser pointer used to be just a laser pointer, and now it's considered like a weapon.
Well, also, I'm actually surprised that he saw it, because I've had people like mess around with me before and put like a laser light on me, but you don't see it. Half the time it's like, if it's on your head, you don't see it coming at you. Maybe he saw the stream of light or something in the distance. If like there's fog in the air, you can see the stream. I don't know. Who knows?
Weird. It's so funny. Like when I was younger, I had some family in New York City, and we used to, this is 30 years ago. We used to we'd be like, in a family's apartment in New York City, and we would take lasers and we'd like laser into other people's bedrooms and like put a laser wherever they're reading or they're watching TV and let people go crazy. Or if people walking down the street, put a laser in front of them and let them be like, what is going on? You can't do that anymore. Like now it's a serious thing. It's just weird how times have changed in 30 years. All right, Dax.
By the way, do you ever get ads for stuff that you're like, why did I get targeted for this ad? Right now I'm staring at an ad for a mask that has a cat face on it. And I'm like, why? Why is that something that they think I need in my life? I mean, I wear it, but like, why did they think I need this?
They went through your Google searches, they saw your fetishes, and then they're like, okay, Dax is into cats and likes to go to these cat gangbangs. Who knows what you do in your free time, you freak. All right, number 3.
Number 3, more Diddy news. Of course, new day, new Diddy news. But hey, this is a big week for us. Not number 1. He dropped down to number 3. There is now a woman who has come forward claiming that Diddy raped her with a remote control after she suggested he played a role in Tupac's murder. So there's a woman now that has filed a lawsuit against him, claiming that that she had a conversation. She was with a friend, and I guess Diddy FaceTimed at some point and thought it'd be cool to like, hey, look, I got Diddy on the phone. And she's like, oh no, I'm not impressed. And at some point she suggested that he had something to do with Tupac's murder. And this is all according to the complaint. And Combs allegedly told her that she would pay for her comment. Well, a month later, the woman claims that she was at someone else's apartment and that he showed up, him and his chief of staff, Christina Coram, and basically said that that's when they started to threaten her, that he allegedly held a knife up to her face and threatened to cut her face from like cheek to cheek, and then ended up basically stripping her and violently raping her with a remote control, and told her that her life was in his hands. And then at some point she was able to like run out of the apartment, and that's when he got in his car and fled from the scene. But she said it was pretty awful, and now this lawsuit has been filed. And I'm not sure why she waited to file this, but I think it has to do with a lot of people are very scared of Diddy and his power and his money. And once you see that, oh, maybe now people will believe me, it's probably a lot easier to file a lawsuit than, he's threatening her family. And now she's feeling like I can come forward at this point.
Yeah, every week there's gonna be someone else. I'm not gonna say come out of nowhere. They just got the right microphone to speak on their Diddy experience or interaction, and then some people just know the people now to talk to. Maybe they feel a little bit they don't feel alone anymore, and they want to talk about this. So it's hard to say all these people are coming out of nowhere, but some people like didn't want to speak up because they could be in fear. I mean, I never got sexually abused by any, fortunately, knock on wood. I've never, but like at a workplace, I wasn't abused. I was more like verbally. It was work. It wasn't good work environment. But I can't speak on that. And because then there's fear of future work, and he just sort of taken it. So I can
You
only
can
imagine.
understand the
I can
fear of
understand the fear of
why
speaking
someone,
up.
yeah.
So I think every week, fortunately, this story is not number one. We're moving on from Diddy, but there's going to be more and more stuff coming out with Diddy. He's ultimately denying all this stuff, and his team is being very aggressive on saying no.
Yeah, but when you got 120 people coming forward, and we broke down some of those stories on Wednesday's episode. There was like 6 new lawsuits filed this week. 4 of them were by men who said that they were either sexually assaulted, raped, fondled, all kinds of stuff. So if you want to hear about those individual ones, we kind of broke those down. It's kind of hard to honestly talk about them because they're very graphic, and the lawsuits detail out exactly what they are claiming. But again, there's so many that are going to come forward at this point.
There's just the charges: sex trafficking, prostitution, kidnapping, bribery, arson. There's just so many charges that this is going to keep making news and headlines. And I think people just ultimately want to see they want to see what's going to happen in court. They want to see this is going to become a Netflix documentary eventually regarding this. I think if I read wrong, the court actually is going to be going on during the Met Gala. So
oh wow,
Diddy used to go to the Met Gala. Now this year's Met Gala, when it comes out, he's going to be in court. And it's funny. I don't know if I ever told you this, Dax, and this was nothing crazy, but someone from Diddy's camp reached out to me 2 years ago, and said, "Hey, Diddy's looking for a lymphatic drainage massage to get ready for the Met Gala." And I hooked him up with these masseuses that I knew who did a lymphatic drainage massage. I don't know if they got paid or they did it for free. I just think they wanted a recommendation. I hooked them up with 2 girls I know who do that. Are you familiar with lymphatic drainage massages are?
No, I have no idea what that is.
So it's a massage where you do feel good, but it's not like there to make you feel good. It's basically like pushing the water out of your body or pushing it down and kind of pushing your body into the way you want it to be. So you kind of look more, it's a little more.
But your lymph nodes is like your drainage system.
Exactly. So you're draining the water out of your body.
Doesn't that take all the like gross stuff out of your skin and stuff? And the only reason I really know even what they are is because when I had my melanoma, they took out some lymph nodes because they wanted to check to make sure that it didn't spread. The cancer didn't spread throughout my body. So they took it out. So I thought it was like your body's drain sewer system.
I don't know what it is. I did it before because it was for free. But what I didn't know, celebrities do this a lot before they go to big events. They get these massages where basically you're going to look a lot more tighter and firmer before you have to put on a dress or a suit. And I hooked them up with a free one. I asked the masseuses after everything, I go, "Did you guys put a lot of baby oil on them?" They laughed and said, "Yeah." So that's my own baby oil joke. But all right, Dax, number 2.
Al Pacino saying he lost $50 million after a corrupt accountant mismanaged his earnings. He said, "I had nothing." And he realized this when he was in his 70s, which is a really big deal. So after, 5 decades of being super successful, being strapped for cash is not a good thing. So he's got a new memoir that he just released. It's called Sonny Boy. And he opened up about his financial pitfall, which he found himself in after this corrupt accountant mismanaged this star's fortune for many years. He said that I got warnings that my accountant, at the time was a guy who had lots of celebrity clients, was not to be trusted. He said I was spending a ridiculous amount of money to rent some big fancy house in Beverly Hills, and then footing the bills for all of these like big family outings. And he goes, it wasn't until like I returned from a trip that I realized, something wasn't adding up in my finances. He goes, I was broke. I had 50 million and then suddenly I had nothing. I had property, but I didn't have any money. In the business, when you make $10 million on a film, it's not 10 million because after lawyers and agents and the publicist and the government, it dwindles down to 4.5 million in your pocket, but you're living above that because you're high on the hog, and that's how you lose it. It's very strange the way it happens. The more money you make, the less you have. And he's like, the kind of money I was spending, was like a crazy amount of stuff. He goes, I had a landscaper that was getting $400,000 a year. And I don't exaggerate these things. I just went on and on. Mind you, that it was for landscaping at a house I didn't even live in. Can you imagine that? $400,000 on landscaping for just some other home. He goes, I wasn't signing the checks. The accountant would sign them, and he wasn't really paying attention. They were just, the check would come in, or the money would go out, and he just assumed that this person had his best interest. And then once he realized, he goes, I was broke, and I was in my 70s. And he goes, I wasn't a young buck. I was not going to be making the kind of money that I did from acting in films that I made before. The big paydays that he was used to getting just weren't happening. And so he's like, that's when I had to like reassess. He goes, that's actually when he took the film Jack and Jill. He's like, I had lost a lot of money. And to be honest, I did that because I didn't have anything else. And he goes, Adam Sandler wanted me and they paid me a lot for it. So I went out and I did it and it helped. And he goes, I love Adam. He is wonderful to work with and he's become a dear friend. He also just happens to be a great actor and a hell of a guy. And he goes, it sucks to be such a big famous actor and you start taking these other roles. And I guess the other thing that really helped him out was doing seminars or like big speaking engagements. He goes, I used to go to colleges and speak for free. And then he said, and then I needed money. And so he started charging and that became a huge part of his income. But that guy, I guess the former accountant was found guilty of running a Ponzi scheme and served 7.5 years in prison after all of this. So, we talk about the worst thing in Hollywood is to be super famous and broke, especially when people believe that you're rich and you have nothing.
Yeah, scary stuff. And listen, it's very people like, how do you think that could happen? Like, how do you let that stuff happen? Because you put your trust into these people because they have more expertise in this stuff than you do when it comes to investments. That's why you hire these people. So it's very easy for that stuff to happen, especially for guys like this that have so many moving parts that they don't know that world. They don't know the finance world. So,
when you also have $50 million, again, it sounds crazy, but $400,000 that goes out the window over a year to a landscaper, you're not looking at it because it's just a little amount in a big amount, but it adds up very quickly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But very scary, but also makes this book seems interesting. I appreciate stories like this. I appreciate a memoir that he did because it's just like, it's more normal. You want to understand like what their life is like rather than like, tell me how you grew up. I grew up with a poor father and a working mother. I don't care about that. Tell me just like, what your day-to-day is like. And this is something, was there any other notable stories that you saw come from this book or?
I guess he doesn't live with his 14-month-old son. They were talking about that in one of his interviews. He's like, we have a relationship. He texts me and I'm like, huh? The 14-month-old son texts you?
Yeah. Except for he's so senile, he believes it. He's like, no, this kid's a genius. He's texting me. He's sending me memes.
I'm assuming he means that the mom is texting him pictures or something. I didn't really understand that. But yeah, there's other stuff, but I kind of want to get on to the next story because we're already running out of time here.
Okay. The number one story of the week, Dex.
Number one story of the week, hands down, probably one of the most shocking stories that I have seen in a very long time. Liam Payne from One Direction passed away after falling off a balcony of a hotel in Argentina. This, again, Adam, I'm telling you, I don't get shocked by stories anymore. I see so many. I've covered so many. This one was shocking. He's 31 years old, falls, dies, and now everyone's going, what the hell happened? So he was down there in Argentina. Earlier in the month, he was performing with Niall Horan, who also from One Direction had a concert down there. A bunch of the guys reunited from One Direction to be a part of this. And then he ended up staying down there in Argentina for a couple of weeks. He was down there with his girlfriend at the time. She joined him. She's a social media star. Kate Cassidy is her name. And then she ended up leaving after being down there for 2 weeks. She was like, hey, I need to get back to my life. I can't just hang out here. She's like, I thought this was going to be a 5-day trip and ended up being 2 weeks. So she pieced out. Well, a couple days later, he checks into this Casa Sur Palermo hotel in Argentina. And people at the hotel are saying he's acting erratic, that he broke his laptop. He then ended up having to get carried up to his room a couple hours before all of this happened. I guess the hotel manager ended up calling police saying, hey, I've got someone here who I'm worried about their well-being. They've been locked in their room for a couple of days. We can't get access. He comes down. He's acting erratic. He gets carried up. You need to get here. The cops didn't even make it before he fell to his death. And again, they don't know all the details. Are investigating. They don't know if this was accident, if it was on purpose, if this is a homicide. They don't know as of right now. But the according to the manager, claiming that he was high on drugs and alcohol. He has admitted in the past that he's had a pretty rough relationship with drugs and alcohol, that he was even in such bad shape at one point with One Direction that he had a lot of suicidal thoughts. So mental health has been an issue with him. But they're investigating to figure out what exactly happened. So really, really just sad story. I saw a lot of celebs speaking out, posting stories, posting comments about him and their reaction or relationship with him. But have you had a story shock you this much in a long time?
No, when I saw it, I found out I put on Instagram, and I think it was like the Good Morning America account was the first one to come up forward and say like what happened. And I was like, whoa, it honestly took my breath away. I was like, whoa. And then it took me like a minute to process exactly what happened. Sad.
I don't think most people realize he's got a 7-year-old son too with Cheryl Cole, the singer. So curious to see what she posts. She hasn't obviously posted anything at least as the time that we're recording right now. But yeah, he's a 7-year-old son that now, grown up without his father. I just sad all around. TMZ getting a lot of flack after they were one of obviously the first sites to report his death, but they had posted some photos of his body at the scene, and they were cropped in photos, so it wasn't showing necessarily the whole picture, but it was an arm, his waist. They were showing his tattoos, and I think they did it to prove, hey, look, it is his body. But the internet has gone wild saying, what the hell are you doing posting death photos? And they're getting a ton of backlash over this. They have since removed the photos and basically changed their story to say that that they have seen photos, but now no longer putting them out there. But the thing is, they've already been out there. They have the TMZ watermark on it. I'm assuming that people have screen grabbed or shared them or whatever the case is. So you can't, unfortunately, take it back at this point. I don't think that they're going to comment or respond. They don't normally do on stuff like this. But a lot of people, I saw like Alessia Cara posts, it's just gross. I saw a lot of people respond to TMZ. So I don't think Harvey's going to say anything. I'm curious what the decision-making process was there, whether someone put it up rogue, and then, because that's not normally a thing that they do. They don't normally post up celebrity like death photos like that. So curious to see what the breakdown of power happened there.
So Dax, let me ask you this. You've been on the other side of having access to those photos and the person to decide, are these photos worth putting out there or not? Where do you stand on the moral, the business, the ethics of when you have photos like that? Is it, if TMZ
you don't put that up.
But is it a news obligation to put that up?
No. I think I'm guessing there was a slip up in command there. Honestly, that's my assumption, is that because Harvey has never been someone to post like death photos like that, but that's kind of always been like a hard line. So I'm surprised to see it. But I think that obviously it goes over the line, and that there is such a big reaction to these stories, let alone seeing something like that. Like, people now have seen his body dead, and that's what people are responding to and saying there is a line where, yes, you have to report the news as an agency, but why share that out to the public? No one needs to see that. You can mention it that you've seen it, but like they did, but you don't need to see it. And so again, I go back to, I'm assuming someone posted it and they immediately realized, what the hell have we done?
Yeah, the whole thing is just sad. When I heard it again, like I said, I was shocked. It took me a minute to like process it. Like, whoa, whoa, and like the significance of it. Then first, when you start to question, he fell off a balcony. Was he sober? Was there substances? Was this, how did this happen? There's so many things that make you think and wonder what exactly went down. Sad. It's just a sad story. I mean, there's not much to say regarding this story. We're all trying to figure out what exactly happened. Besides that, the whole thing's just sad. He's a father. He's a friend. He's a singer. He's a performer. He's a son. He's brutal. Do I know him? No. I've met him a few times. I've interacted with him. No, we weren't friends by any means, but the few times I've been around him, super nice guy, nice gentleman. He's a gentleman. I liked his music too. I have to say, I did like his music. A lot of people have been speaking about him, and they have nice things to say. Yeah, the guy was just he was a cool guy. So just sad
all around. I feel bad for his family, his friends, all of that. So, all right. So huge update in the death of One Direction star Liam Payne. Police down in Argentina are now saying that this was an intentional fall, that this is an apparent suicide. The police have come out with an investigation. They told the Associated Press that Liam had, quote unquote, jumped from the balcony of his room. So I know that they had been doing a bunch of investigation to figure out what exactly happened. There were photos from inside of Liam's room that have now come to light showing a smashed television. It showed a very chaotic scene inside this hotel room with, it looks like, white powder and tinfoil and burnt areas on a table. And so it seems like something was definitely happening inside this room. We've spoken about this erratic behavior that eyewitnesses said that he was displaying hours prior to his death down in the lobby, in which he broke his laptop and he was ended up carted up to his hotel room. There was information that was revealed that cops were called moments before he died, saying that they needed to get over there, that they were very concerned about one of their hotel guests. And by the time the cops got there, he was found dead. So this preliminary investigation is all signs are pointing towards an apparent suicide, which is very sad. We know that years ago, he had talked about some of his mental health struggles, saying that he was deep in the throes of alcohol and prescription drugs and was very suicidal at that time. And so, we know that mental health was a huge issue that the star was going through. In regards to everything that's going on, very, very sad to see how this whole thing has transpired. Not the information, obviously, anyone wanted to hear. But if you or anyone who is struggling with crisis or has suicidal thoughts, help is available. Please call or text 988 or chat with 988lifeline.org. Please remember, there's always people out there that want to talk. All right. That is our Raw rundown for this week. Thank you, Adam, for joining me. Thank you all to everyone who is tuned in, who's listening or watching on YouTube or Red Coral. Thank you guys for just spending this last hour with us. We appreciate your time twice a week. On Wednesdays, obviously, if you turn in for the interview or topics that we talk about on Wednesday, or the Raw rundown on Friday, which is so funny that this has become like the episode that people love so much, is these wrap-up episodes. Make sure you join us on our private Facebook group, Off the Record. We mentioned it earlier. If you want to join, connect, have fun with us, come follow us on that. And then you can follow us on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on it all. You can find us at Hollywood Raw. You can find Adam at Adam Glyn. You can follow me at Dax Holt. Until next time, we'll see you next week. Bye. See ya.
Guys, hope you liked that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.